Before cars, before highways, and long before smartphones, there was Michigan, raw, resilient, and rising from the wilderness. These rare photographs pull back the curtain on a century gone by. Each frame is a doorway to the past, showing a state being built by grit, snow, steam, and unshakable spirit.
Houghton, Michigan Panorama, 1900. From Huron Street, the view of Houghton reveals a bustling Great Lakes town with Hancock visible across the water. Church steeples, smokestacks, and wooden rooftops rise against the hilly backdrop. This panorama captures a moment when industry, shipping, and small-town life coexisted at the edge of Michigan's wilderness. Arbor, Mackinac Island, 1900. Seen from above the waterfront, Mackinac Island's harbor bustles with early 20th century life. Commercial buildings and homes cluster near the piers, where steamships rest in calm waters. The wharves are busy gateways for trade and travelers, while beyond them, the open lake stretches under a pale horizon. Detroit Post Office, 1900. Majestic in its Romanesque revival style, the Detroit Post Office stood as a symbol of civic pride since its completion in 1891. The imposing tower, arched windows and solid stonework projected permanence and authority, while the flag above reminded passers-by of the city's growing prominence at the turn of the century. Detroit Club, Detroit, 1900. The Detroit Club stands proudly at the corner of Cass and Fort Street, showcasing its second Renaissance Revival design. In 1900, it was a gathering place for the city's elite, where business leaders and social figures met under stone arches and ornate windows to shape Detroit's future.
Ottawa Beach, Holland, 1900. On the shores of Lake Michigan, Ottawa Beach bustled with life around 1900. A small concession stand with umbrella-covered picnic tables served visitors seeking shade. Leafless trees and wooden walkways hinted at a cool season, while the tranquil shoreline reflected the quiet charm of Holland's beloved lakeside retreat. City Hall, Mount Clemens, 1900. Standing proudly in the heart of Mount Clemens, this 1900 view of City Hall captures the elegance of late 19th century civic architecture. The stately clock tower rises above the surrounding rooftops, while leafy trees and brick-lined streets frame the scene, symbolizing the town's growing prosperity and civic pride. Main building, Michigan State Normal School, Ypsilanti, 1899. By the closing years of the 19th century, this towering structure symbolized Michigan's commitment to education. The Michigan State Normal School, now Eastern Michigan University, trained generations of teachers within its brick walls. Its tall spire watched over Ypsilanti, a beacon for learning in a time when education was reshaping America's future. Cadillac Square, Detroit, 1899. In 1899, Cadillac Square bustled with life as horse-drawn carriages and electric streetcars shared the streets. Towering buildings framed the busy intersection, while pedestrians moved briskly between shops and offices. This heart of Detroit reflected a city in transition, blending the grit of the 19th century with the promise of modern progress.
Palmer Park, Detroit, 1898. A tranquil view of Palmer Park in Detroit captures the stillness of 1898. A lone rowboat rests on calm waters, framed by lush trees under a soft light. This serene retreat offered city dwellers a peaceful escape, where nature's quiet beauty contrasted with the growing industrial heartbeat of Michigan. Belle Isle Park, Detroit, 1898. A serene portrait of Belle Isle Park in 1898, capturing its iconic stone bridge over calm waters. Surrounded by lush trees and abundant greenery, the scene reflects the park's bucolic charm, serving as a beloved retreat for Detroit residents at the close of the 19th century. Malt's Opera House Block, Alpena, 1895. Alpena's Malt's Opera House Block stood as a proud hub of culture and commerce in northern Michigan. Its brick facade and bustling street corner reflected a thriving lakeside community. Horse-drawn carriages lined the road, shopkeepers greeted locals, and the Opera House promised evenings of refined entertainment. Steinberg's Grand Opera House, Traverse City, 1895. A bustling day on Front Street in 1895 shows Steinberg's Grand Opera House alongside E. Miller's drugstore as the Hannah Rifles march past in formation. Elegant facades, shop awnings, and curious onlookers captured the small-town pride and lively spirit of Traverse City at the close of the 19th century.
Grover Cleveland at Michigan Central Railroad Station, Ann Arbor, 1892. A sea of hats and overcoats gathers at the Michigan Central Railroad Station in Ann Arbor to greet former President Grover Cleveland. The crisp winter air carries the excitement of the moment as Mayor William Doty and President James B. Angel stand among the crowd, marking a notable day in Michigan's history. Kent County Courthouse, Grand Rapids, 1892. This imposing Romanesque Revival courthouse in Grand Rapids stood as a testament to civic pride and architectural ambition in 1892. With its bold towers and intricate stonework, it served as the seat of county justice for decades, becoming a landmark for residents and visitors alike in western Michigan. Woodward Avenue, Detroit, looking north, 1891. Captured in 1891, this view of Woodward Avenue in Detroit looks northward, revealing a growing city on the cusp of industrial greatness. Horse-drawn carriages share the streets with early electric poles, while brick storefronts line the avenue, marking a time when commerce, craftsmanship, and ambition shaped Detroit's bustling heart. Lake City, Main Street, 1890. A view of Lake City's Main Street in the 1890s looking north from the east side. Wooden utility poles line the dirt road, flanked by brick and wooden storefronts. A few townspeople stand near entrances, hinting at the slow-paced rhythm of daily life in a small Michigan community of that era.
Village of Burt Lake, 1890. This photograph captures the Burt Lake Indian Village in Michigan, offering a rare glimpse into the community's daily life at the close of the 19th century. Wooden structures line the background, while dirt paths and open spaces reflect the rural setting and modest resources of the settlement. Cheboygan Main Light, Cheboygan, 1890. Built along the straits, Cheboygan's Main Light anchored navigation in northern Michigan. The tower, keeper's dwelling, and service sheds appear in this 1890 view. Its lantern guided ships through fog, ice, and sandbars, safeguarding timber and ore traffic. A quiet workday scene honors dedicated keepers maintaining lamps, lenses, and walkways. Linden Mills, 1890. A sturdy mill stands tall in the heart of Linden, Michigan, its bold lettering announcing purpose and pride. Horse-drawn wagons gather beneath its porch where locals meet, trade, and labor. The scene captures a quiet moment of daily life powered by grit, grain, and the heartbeat of industry. Michigan State University Observatory, 1888. A rare photograph from 1888 captures faculty and students outside the original observatory at Michigan State. Dressed in formal wear, some seated and others standing proudly, they symbolize a generation reaching for the stars, literally. The octagonal structure behind them stood as a beacon of curiosity, science, and timeless academic spirit.
Detroit Museum of Arts, 1888. Built in 1887, this fortress-like structure once stood proudly in Detroit before its demolition in 1960. Its Richardsonian Romanesque style was rare and captivating. Visitors once passed beneath its towers to marvel at art. Today, only photographs preserve its memory, reminding us that even great beauty can vanish without warning. Saginaw City from Courthouse, 1888. From the courthouse rooftop, Saginaw stretches out in symmetry and smoke. This 1888 image reveals more than buildings. It captures a Michigan city on the verge of modernity. Churches, homes, and chimneys blend into a grid of hope. Look closely, and you can almost hear the clatter of horses below. Lumber docks at Mackinac Street, 1888. Saginaw's riverside hums with motion in 1888. Barges loaded with timber float at the dock, while warehouses crowd the edge of the water. It's a working man's world, rough, loud, and fleeting. This image captures the rhythm of Michigan's lumber boom, before the forests thinned and silence returned. Flushing Depot, 1888. A train waits in steam and silence beside Flushing Depot. Built in 1888, the station welcomed reunions, farewells, and mailbags full of news. Beneath its gabled roof, time paused for every arrival. It's a portrait of progress on iron rails, echoing the whistle that once stirred the prairie stillness.
Portage Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie, 1888. This aerial view of Portage Avenue in Sault Ste. Marie reveals the town's rapid development. A streetcar rolls toward the viewer, passing the Central High School, City Hall, and dense clusters of commercial buildings. The growth since 1872 is evident in every corner, from Fort Brady to Water Street's solid structures. Aftermath of the Big Fire, Newaygo, 1883. Charred ruins stretch across Newaygo after the Great Fire of 1883. Brick shells and scorched earth replace what once bustled with shops and lives. This haunting image, captured soon after flames died, is a stark reminder of how quickly progress can vanish and how fiercely towns rebuilt. Belle Isle Lighthouse, 1881. This petite brick lighthouse stood guard over Detroit's Belle Isle since 1881. Framed by trees and picket fences, it was less sentinel and more companion, a quiet guide in fog and snow. The architecture whispered Victorian grace, while the lantern above kept vigil over changing waters and decades. Allegan Railroad Depot, 1880. It's 1880, and the Allegan Railroad Depot hums with purpose. Men in dark coats pose by carts and steam engines, symbols of Michigan's rail-borne ambition. Behind their serious stares, you sense progress rumbling like the trains they built, carrying dreams, goods, and generations into a future none could yet see. Old Tavern in Lawrence, 1879. In the heart of Lawrence, Michigan, locals gather outside a rustic wooden tavern. The building leans with age, but the spirits are high. Men sit and stand proudly, frozen in time, offering a rare look into small-town camaraderie just years after the Civil War. Berrien Springs, 1878. Horse-drawn carriages roll through snow-packed streets in this 1878 snapshot of Berrien Springs. With chimneys puffing and boots crunching frost, it's a Michigan winter scene untouched by modern comforts. Blankets, lanterns, and grit were the only tools for survival, and still, the town thrived in the cold silence. St. Joseph Life-Saving Station, 1874. Built in 1874, this life-saving service station stood along the shore of St. Joseph, Michigan, guarding the Great Lakes. With its Victorian-style watchtower and pitched roof, it reflects early coastal defense architecture. It later became a Coast Guard station, continuing its legacy of maritime rescue through changing eras and missions. Northwest corner of UM campus, 1873. A quiet view of the University of Michigan in 1873 shows horse-drawn carriages lining the street and leafless trees shading the Law Building and University Hall. These early structures stood proudly until change swept through.
Haven Hall replaced the law building before being lost to flames in 1950.
Griswold and Lafayette, Detroit, 1873. Captured in 1873, this view of the southwest corner of Griswold and Lafayette streets in Detroit reveals a quiet, developing cityscape. Low-rise commercial buildings lined the streets, hinting at early urban growth. The wide, unpaved road and horse-drawn wagons reflect a time before the industrial boom reshaped Detroit forever. Construction of the Ferry, Michigan, 1873. In 1873, the massive Ferry, Michigan was under construction, towering above the lumber and workshops that lined the shipyard. Her long deck and smokestack foreshadowed the powerful crossing she would make across the Great Lakes, carrying freight and people into a new industrial age for Michigan's waters. Clam Lake Hotel, Cadillac, 1871. The Clam Lake Hotel stood as Cadillac's first business, opening its doors in January 1871. Built from raw logs, it hosted pioneers and lumbermen who shaped northern Michigan. In front of the structure, a group of early settlers gathers, faces marked by resilience, in a town just beginning to find itself. Fort and Griswold Streets, Detroit, 1870. This 1870 photograph captures the southwest corner of Fort and Griswold Streets in Detroit, Michigan. Brick buildings line the snowy avenue, with pedestrians and horse-drawn carriages adding life to the scene. A tall church steeple stands prominently in the background, marking Detroit's growth during the post-Civil War urban expansion.
Kalamazoo Stagecoach, Plainwell, 1865. A fully loaded stagecoach rumbles through the unpaved streets of Plainwell, Michigan in 1865. Bundled passengers brace against the cold as horses pull the heavy vehicle past brick buildings. This rare capture freezes a fleeting moment of pre-railroad travel, a glimpse into the gritty, hopeful pulse of post-Civil War America. Jackson Mine, Negaunee, 1860. Taken in 1860, this image of Jackson Mine in Negaunee shows early open-pit iron mining in action. Dozens of men and horses dot the pit, carving raw earth for the iron that would fuel the coming industrial surge. The forest still watches silently from above. Fort Mackinac, 1856. This is the earliest known photograph of the Straits of Mackinac, captured in 1856 by Reinhard Wernick. The image reveals Fort Mackinac atop the bluff, overlooking rustic homes and rough terrain below. Life here was remote, rugged, and strategic, guarding one of Michigan's most vital northern passages before the Civil War.
The faces are gone, but their footprints remain, in brick, rail, and memory. These images aren't just echoes, they're testaments to everyday courage. Michigan wasn't simply founded, it was forged. As the snow fell and the furnaces burned, the heart of a state began to beat, and somehow it still does.